anyone else
slap you right now,
if anyone else touches me,
what if I was to slap you right now? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, go on, go ahead.
Yeah, talk about my dad. Stop
You
moaning
put your
about
hands
it.
on me.
Stop moaning about it. A little push and a shove. Stop moaning about it. You done top talk about my dad.
Me and you f***ed up by taking this fight.
Yeah.
That's right.
Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn nearly came to blows again in a fiery clash on the Piers Morgan Uncensored set, forcing security to step in. With their bitter rivalry reaching new heights, this explosive face-off proves their feud is far from over. Their tension has been brewing for weeks. Just recently at their Manchester face-off, Eubank Jr. smacked an egg on Benn's hand, sparking chaos before security had to intervene. The British Boxing Board of Control recently slapped Chris Eubank Jr. with a massive £100,000 fine for his actions, but he didn't seem bothered. Instead of apologizing or addressing the penalty seriously, the 35-year-old took to social media with a bold reaction. His response wasn't long, nor was it regretful, it was pure defiance. With just 3 words, he made his stance clear, showing the world that he has no intention of backing down. Worth every penny.
Sky Sports Box Office in the UK and Ireland.
What are you saying?
Saturday.
What are you saying?
Benn versus Eubank.
Billy Big Box over here.
No, I just find it funny your name.
What do you find funny?
Yeah, it's hilarious. That's only usually taking this fight.
What are you saying?
That's only usually taking this fight.
What are you saying?
For Eubank Jr., this wasn't just about money, it was a statement. He doubled down on his antics, making it clear that the fine was a price he was more than willing to pay. His response sent a message, not just to the British Boxing Board of Control, but to Benn and boxing fans everywhere. If anything, this punishment only seems to have fueled his fire even more. With tensions already sky high, this latest development adds another layer of drama ahead of their April 26th showdown. One thing is certain, Eubank Jr. is embracing the chaos, and he's doing it on his own terms. Eubank Jr. and Benn's rivalry isn't new. It runs deep, fueled by history, pride, and unfinished business. Their father set the stage decades ago, and now the next generation is keeping the fire alive. The heated exchanges, the fines, and the constant clashes are just the latest chapters in a story that has been brewing for years. But beneath the surface, there's more than just competition driving Eubank Jr. He stated, "I have something that's been bothering me for years now, and I'm going to get it off my chest." His words weren't just for hype, they carried weight. This fight isn't just about settling a score in the ring, it's about closure, legacy, and proving a point that has been years in the making. Eubank Jr. has been carrying this burden for a long time, and now he's ready to let it all out. With emotions running high and the stakes at their peak, this battle is shaping up to be far more than just another fight. It's personal, and it's been a long time coming. He didn't stop there. Chris Eubank Jr. took it a step further, directly threatening Nigel Benn in front of everyone. Acknowledging Nigel's frustration over the egg incident, Eubank Jr. made it clear that he understood the anger, but he wouldn't tolerate any physicality. When Nigel admitted he nearly put his hands on Eubank Jr.'s throat, things turned hostile fast. Eubank Jr. fired back with a cold warning, making it clear that if Nigel ever touched him again, there would be serious consequences.
You know, I understand the frustration and the heat that you were experiencing a couple of days ago after I egged Conor.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought you actually glassed him, mate. And that's why I nearly got my hand around your throat.
I understand.
Yeah.
But you did put your hand on my neck.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a pass because of what happened, but I'm just letting you know if your hand ever touches me again, you won't get it back.
Shut your f***ing mouth. Do you hear me?
No.
Can't. Do you hear me? Threaten my dad.
You couldn't look on
Hey, silly bollocks. Threaten my dad again. Watch what happens to you.
His words carried weight, and the atmosphere instantly shifted. But before things could escalate further, Conor Benn stepped in, refusing to let the threat slide. Defending his father, he snapped back at Eubank Jr., turning the confrontation into an all-out war of words. The tension in the room was unbearable, proving that this isn't just a fight, it's deeply personal. Every exchange, every insult, every threat only adds to the fire that will finally explode when they step into the ring. The confrontation was already at boiling point, but Conor Benn had finally had enough. After watching Eubank Jr. threaten his father and trade insults for weeks, he snapped. The mind games, the trash talk, the constant back and forth, it was all pushing him to his limit. He wasn't interested in arguing anymore. He wanted to settle this the only way that mattered, in the ring.
Classes? Oh, they ain't really got anything to say. This whole thing is just getting on my nerves. to be honest. I ain't got nothing to say. There's no question you can ask me. Eubank, I can't wait to smash your head in.
Mission
April 26th. I can't wait to smash your head in. Listen, I've heard enough of your voice talking shit this whole time. Again on Tuesday. Just shut your mouth. April 26th, you're getting your head smashed in.
With pure frustration in his voice, Ben made his intentions clear. He wasn't here for debates or mind games. He was here to fight. The way he spoke left no doubt that this was personal. He shut down any further discussion, promising that on April 26th, Eubank Jr. would pay the price. The aggression, the intensity, and the sheer determination in his words showed that he wasn't just hyping up the fight. He genuinely couldn't wait to get in the ring and finish what had been brewing for years. Conor Benn's fiery promise to destroy Eubank Jr. set the stage, but his father, Nigel Benn, wasn't about to stay silent. He has seen the wars inside the ring, and he knows exactly what his son is capable of. While others question Conor's move up in weight, Nigel has no doubts. To him, this fight isn't just about size or experience. It's about power, grit, and heart.
100%. I don't see it going past 4 rounds. And where, like, you know, they say, like, Conor's jumping up 2 weights. Conor walks around at 12 stone. I know my son. And if Liam Smith gave him the problem that he did in the first fight, that's Liam Smith. He don't punch like Conor. He does not punch like Conor, and I know Conor can do 12 rounds.
Nigel made a bold prediction. This fight won't last beyond 4 rounds. He dismissed any concerns about Conor facing a bigger opponent, reminding everyone that his son naturally walks around at a solid 12 stone. Bringing up Eubank Jr.'s struggles against Liam Smith, Nigel made it clear that Smith's power is nothing compared to Conor's. He knows his son can go 12 rounds if needed, but in his eyes, it won't come to that. Conor's aggression, speed, and knockout power will end this fight long before the final bell. Nigel Benn's confidence in his son was unshaken. He had already made it clear that he believed the fight wouldn't last long, but he took it even further. To him, this wasn't just another big bout. It was a fight he was more certain about than his own legendary battles. Watching Conor train, seeing his power, his hunger, and his determination, Nigel had no doubt about what was coming.
Like I said yesterday or Tuesday, I said I'm more confident in this fight than I had with me and Chris Senior. I just think that Conor's just going to go out there, mate, and just give it to him, put it on him. And I know he would do that. I'm 100% confident in Conor doing that. I'm so relaxed, so sure.
With complete conviction, he declared that Conor would bring relentless pressure from the opening bell. He wouldn't just try to outbox Eubank Jr., he would overwhelm him. Nigel spoke with the certainty of a man who had been in the trenches himself, knowing exactly what it takes to break an opponent. Unlike his own war with Chris Eubank Sr., he wasn't hoping for a victory, he was expecting it. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty. In his mind, Conor wasn't just ready for this fight, he was built for it. Nigel Benn's belief in his son wasn't just about confidence, it was absolute certainty. He had already predicted a quick finish, but now he went even further, making it clear that Conor wasn't just a good fighter, he was better than him. For a man who had fought in some of the most brutal wars in boxing history, that statement carried serious weight. Nigel wasn't just hyping up his son, he truly believed Conor had skills he himself never possessed.
He's actually the best, a much better fighter than me. I could never box like Conor. I was just going in and have a bang. I just want to have a war. But Conor's got all them in his locker, mate. Every single thing. I'm so confident. I don't see it going past 4 rounds. And it's not even 4 rounds. It's like when Conor catches him. When Conor catches him. So it could be round 1, round 2. I don't see it going past 4 rounds. And that's my opinion. And that's what I believe. I know what my son can do. And he fights bigger guys inspiring than him that are hard. I just know my boy, and I'm so confident.
He painted a picture of a fighter who had it all: speed, power, intelligence, and an ability to adapt in the ring. Unlike Nigel, who thrived in all-out wars, he saw Conor as a complete package, capable of breaking Eubank Jr. down in multiple ways. Once again, he dismissed any possibility of the fight going the distance, doubling down on his claim that it wouldn't last past 4 rounds. In his eyes, it wasn't even a matter of if Conor would win, but when he would land land the shot that ended it. Whether in the first or the fourth round, Nigel had no doubt Eubank Jr. wouldn't hear the final bell. Nigel Benn's confidence in his son was unshakable, but he wasn't the only one backing Conor to get the job done. His trainer, Tony Sims, stepped in to add another layer of certainty, dismissing concerns about Conor moving up in weight. While critics questioned whether Benn could handle a middleweight clash, Sims made it clear this wasn't a risky leap, it was a natural step.
As you know, Conor's last couple of fights have been at 154, so the 160 ain't too big a jump for him, and he'll be in great condition on the night, and we've obviously got our game plan, and Chris has got his game plan, and as Eddie was saying, it's probably the biggest fight in British boxing.
Sims pointed out that Conor had already been competing at 154 pounds, making the jump to 160 far from drastic. He reassured everyone that Conor would be in peak condition on fight night, fully prepared for the challenge ahead. More than just physical preparation, Sims emphasized the importance of strategy, stating that both teams had their game plans locked in. With the fight being billed as one of the biggest in British boxing history, the pressure was immense. But in Sims' eyes, Conor was built for moments like this, ready to silence any doubts when the first bell rings. Tony Sims had already dismissed concerns about Conor Benn moving up in weight, making it clear that he would be fully prepared for the challenge. But beyond just preparation, Sims saw this fight as something bigger, a true battle of legacy. With both fighters carrying the names of their legendary fathers, this wasn't just another match, it was a continuation of one of boxing's most iconic rivalries.
I think it's going to be an absolute fantastic fight. Conor's going to bring that ferociousness to the fight. You know, he's a carbon copy of his dad. Chris has obviously got the experience and a bit of weight on him, and he's a carbon copy of his dad as well. So I think we're all in for a great night of boxing.
Sims predicted an all-action war, highlighting Conor's relentless fighting style. He described him as a carbon copy of Nigel Benn, bringing the same ferocity and aggression that made his father a fan favorite. On the other side, he acknowledged Eubank Jr.'s experience and size advantage, calling him a mirror image of his own father, Chris Eubank Sr. With both fighters embodying the spirit of their legendary dads, Sims promised that fans were in for an unforgettable night of boxing, one that would reignite a rivalry decades in the making. With both fighters carrying their father's legacies into the ring, Tony Sims made it clear that this was more than just a boxing match. It was a clash of generations. The intensity, the history, and the sheer will to win had set the stage for an unforgettable battle. But while Conor Benn's team was full of confidence, boxing legend Ricky Hatton took a more measured approach, acknowledging the risks involved.
It's really interesting to think, to be honest with you. I mean, Conor's going up for, you know, 2 weight divisions. He's not fought anyone like the people that Eubank Jr. has fought, you know, at his own weight, let alone 2 weights above. So it'll be very interesting. But Conor has a huge self-belief and drive, to be honest with you. You know, a drive like his dad. The Benn family, I've never seen a family with more drive and determination. So I think everything's pointing at Chris Eubank Jr., but I think...
Hatton pointed out the obvious challenge. Conor was jumping up 2 weight divisions, something that could not be ignored. He noted that Eubank Jr. had faced tougher competition at his natural weight, making this an uphill battle for Benn. But at the same time, he couldn't overlook the self-belief and relentless drive that defined the Benn family. That hunger, that determination was something he had rarely seen in the sport. While logic and experience pointed to Eubank Jr. as the favorite, Hatton admitted that with a fighter like Benn, anything was possible. Ricky Hatton had acknowledged the risks of Conor Benn moving up in weight, pointing out the experience gap between him and Chris Eubank Jr. On paper, Eubank Jr. had the advantage. He had fought tougher opponents and was naturally the bigger man. But boxing isn't always about logic. Sometimes it's about heart, grit, and the sheer will to win. And that's where Hatton saw something special in Benn.
I think I might have a sneaky few quid on Conor, to be honest with you. His drive and his confidence and his self-belief is something that I've only ever seen in a handful of people, and he's going to need that, and I think that might be enough against Eubank.
Despite the odds, Hatton admitted he had a gut feeling about Conor. He had seen that level of self-belief in only a handful of fighters throughout his career, and he knew how powerful it could be. That unwavering confidence, the kind that pushes a fighter beyond their limits, could be the key to victory. In a fight as unpredictable as this, Hatton wasn't ruling out an upset. In fact, he was willing to put money on it, believing that Benn's hunger and determination might just be enough to take down Eubank Jr. Ricky Hatton had his doubts about Conor Benn's size disadvantage, but still believed in his relentless drive. That confidence wasn't just shared by Benn's camp. Others in the boxing world were starting to see something special in him. With the fight drawing closer, more voices weighed in, and one of them was Liam Smith, a man who had shared the ring with Eubank Jr. himself.
You know what, I'm a little bit torn at the moment, but I'll stick with what I've always said. I think Eubank beats him on points, but I won't be surprised if Conor wins. I think Eubank is firmly on the slide, and I know I get stick for saying that. I also think 160 is hitting him now. He's starting to mention it a few times, so that's why I bring Conor into it a little bit more. But like I said before, that being said, if Conor flattens Chris, I won't be surprised. I won't be like, wow, Conor's just knocked Chris out. And if Chris was the same to Conor, I won't be surprised, because Conor's been down, many times before off journeyman, lesser punches than Chris, so I won't be surprised with the outcome, but I do think it's a closer fight this time around.
Smith, who knows Eubank Jr.'s strengths and weaknesses firsthand, leaned towards Benn as the fighter with the edge. He saw something in Conor's explosiveness, aggression, and hunger that made him a dangerous opponent. While Eubank Jr. had the experience and natural size, Smith believed that Benn's relentless pressure and work rate could break him down. He wasn't completely counting Eubank Jr. out, but based on what he had seen, he felt Benn had the momentum going into this fight. For Smith, this wasn't just about technical skill, it was about who wanted it more. Liam Smith had pointed to Conor Benn's relentless aggression as a key factor that could give him the edge over Chris Eubank Jr. But while many believed in Benn's hunger, legendary trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas took a more strategic view of the matchup. He broke down how each fighter needed to approach the fight to come out on top, highlighting their contrasting styles.
Too much, Eubanks, wants to probably keep it on the outside as much as he can and use his skill sets to, use his hand speed and his ability to throw counter punches and, punches from different angles. He needs space, or space accommodates him pretty well and favors him pretty well when he has that space to do that. And I would think that Benn would like to take that space away. Like to kind of work his way in and maybe...
According to Atlas, Eubank Jr. would need to use his skill set wisely, keeping the fight at a distance where he could control the action. His speed, counterpunching ability, and ability to throw from different angles were all strengths that worked best in open space. If he could maintain that distance, it would favor him. On the other hand, Benn's best path to victory was to close that space, apply constant pressure, and not allow Eubank Jr. the time or room to pick his shots. It was a classic clash of styles, technical precision versus relentless aggression, and whoever executed their game plan better would likely walk away victorious. Teddy Atlas had already broken down the key battle of styles, Eubank Jr. needing space to execute his game plan, while Benn had to close the distance and apply relentless pressure. But beyond just strategy, Atlas saw this as a fascinating matchup because of what both fighters bring to the table. It wasn't just a size versus speed battle, it was a fight between two very different mentalities and approaches to the sport.
I like the ability of Eubanks when he's right, when his focus is there, when he's right. To be able to do things in a boxing way on the outside. And I love Benn's style and his approach, I do, where, being aggressive in a responsible way, in a way a fighter should be, with paying attention to, doing it with defense and responsibility of defense and, just proper way to engage somebody, but the consistent offense, looking to, to engage. I think it's an interesting...
Atlas acknowledged that when Eubank Jr. is fully focused and at his best, he has the ability to control a fight from the outside with smart boxing. However, he also admired Benn's aggressive style, his willingness to push forward and engage, but with calculated pressure rather than reckless attacks. He highlighted the importance of defensive responsibility, noting that a good offensive fighter must also be smart defensively. In his eyes, this wasn't just about who was stronger or faster, it was about who could impose their style in the right way while staying disciplined. That's what made this matchup so intriguing. Teddy Atlas had broken down the contrasting styles of Eubank Jr. and Benn, highlighting the key battle between technical precision and relentless pressure. But while many were backing Benn's aggression, veteran trainer Joe Gallagher took a different stance. He wasn't convinced that Benn had done enough to prove he could beat someone with Eubank Jr.'s experience.
There's nothing to suggest, and this is nothing against Conor, he's coming around, there's nothing to suggest Conor can deliver because no one's seen him in a title fight at Southern, English, British, European. They haven't, and looking at his last performance in America or two that he had while this was going,
was it?
yeah, there was nothing to suggest you could beat Eubank Jr. Now you look at Eubank Jr.'s resume, yes, it's 35, 36, but he was in the World Boxing Super Series against George Groves, a big super middle. He went to Turkey and knocked out Yildirim. Then he ragdolled James DeGale round the ring. He's got that experience, and when he's motivated and focused, we're seeing what he did to Liam Smith.
Gallagher pointed to Eubank Jr.'s resume, emphasizing the level of opposition he had faced over the years. From competing in the World Boxing Super Series to defeating top names like George Groves, Avni Yildirim, and James DeGale, Eubank Jr. had tested himself against elite competition. When fully motivated and focused, he had shown his ability to dominate top fighters. Gallagher believed that experience alone gave Eubank Jr. a major advantage, making it clear that Benn would be stepping into the ring with a fighter who had already proven himself at the highest level. Joe Gallagher had emphasized Eubank Jr.'s experience as a key factor in this fight, questioning whether Benn had done enough to prove he could handle such a challenge. But while some focused on resumes and skill sets, others saw this fight as something much bigger, an unpredictable, high-stakes battle that could go either way. Veteran trainer Robert McCracken viewed it as a spectacle, one that had captured the attention of the boxing world for good reason. He stated, "It's a really good fight. You can look at it two ways, but I just look at it this way. You know it's a big, big fight, and anything can happen." He went on to say with confidence, "And that's why it's box office, and that's why it's a big draw. So it'd be explosive, and anything can happen in that fight, but I'm looking forward to it." McCracken acknowledged the different ways this fight could be analyzed, whether from a technical standpoint or a historical one, but ultimately, he boiled it down to one simple fact. This is an event too big to miss. The mix of rivalry, emotion, and contrasting styles made it unpredictable, which is exactly what makes boxing so exciting. No matter what the experts say, once the bell rings, anything can happen, and that's why fans are counting down the days. With emotions running high, experts divided, and both fighters carrying the weight of their family legacies, the stage is set for one of the biggest fights in British boxing history. Chris Eubank Jr. brings experience, size, and skill, while Conor Benn carries relentless aggression, power, and an unshakable belief in himself. From fiery confrontations to bold predictions, everything points to an explosive showdown on April 26th. But what do you think? Will Eubank Jr.'s experience and technical ability be too much for Benn to handle? Or will Benn's sheer determination and pressure be enough to break him down? Does the weight difference really matter, or is this a fight where heart and willpower decide the winner? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in for more videos like this.